All right, this video is about automation. Automation is when you automate a parameter of the music. So for example, you can make the volume change as a piece goes along. You can also change the panning. If it's in the left speaker, the right speaker, you can also change other elements of the sound, like its equalization, compression, and so on. So this video, I'll just show some of the basics that I expect you to have for your next assignment, the audio branding assignment. So first off, this is just some drum tracks I had lying around, and I put some guitar on it so it sounds like a piece of music. And what we're going to do in this video is not very practical necessarily, but I'm going to show you some of the things you can do with automation. So again, I'm using Cakewalk, the free software. And if I just play this little loop here, so basically I have a couple guitar tracks and drums. And let's say I wanted that guitar sound, this one right here, I labeled guitar, and there's guitar too, it's a little layer. If I wanted the sound to change as this went along. If you look over here on the left, I will zoom in for you. There's a couple little buttons right here. And this one that looks like a little zigzag, if I put my mouse over it, you see it says automation lanes. So I click that and look what it does. It adds what it looks like to be another track. It's called a lane in the software. Now this here is where you write your automation. You're going to be writing these lines and putting something called nodes on the lines. So you see here, this drop down where it says volume, I can click that and I get a bunch of other options, things I can automate. What we're going to do first is the most simple one, volume. So see this line, that's the volume. We're around -12, -15.4 it says right here, decibels. Oh, looks, yeah, okay. So if I click on it, see how I'm making these nodes? What's that going to do? It's going to allow you to change the volume at that point in time, right? Time is left to right. So what I'm doing here is just making the zigzag look, and that's going to make the volume change as this goes on. It's going to sound terrible, but here's an example. Focus on just this one. See how it disappears? And it's going to pop up. Okay, so that's an example of changing the volume of a track as it goes on. I think that's probably one of the most useful ones for your assignment, because you might have something that you don't want to be so loud. Instead of splitting it, I mean, you could go around, find the form, split it up, and take this section and put that, move that down to another track. That's unnecessary. That gets very cluttered. Other things you can do with the lanes is, again, I'm going right back to here where it says volume. I'm going to change it to pan. I think we talked about panning briefly, but panning is what speaker it's in. I have it 27% to the left. I was doing a quick mix on this so it sounds at least presentable. If I put nodes on here, I can now make the guitar track switch speakers. So the way Cakewalk works is all the way up means all the way to the left, all the way down means all the way to the right. So if I play this guitar track will start moving. Probably sounds really good with headphones. Let me turn off the headphones. So there's only one monitor. And again, sorry if there's any bleed. I don't have headphones on me that fit into my interface, so I'm listening through small monitors. Okay, so that was an example of panning. Now we can get even crazier. We can go here and go to the amp effect I have on it. I'm not recording with an amplifier. I'm recording with this plugin I have called GTR amp, this thing. Okay. So what you can automate is I can change these knobs as it goes on. And this is where things get real fun. So I can go here and go to my amp sound, and I can go amp type. All right. Right now it's on punchy. Okay. So if I start adding nodes here, look what happens. This is probably hard to see. Let me do another zoom. If I put my mouse over here, okay, and it's changing the amp type. It says direct. See how it's saying, naming, these are unused parameters they have here. But these are different kinds of amp sounds that you can get. So if I play this, you can see the amp changing. So that's how you know it's working. See? Now, let's do something a little bit more. I mean, that's for fun. But let's do something like on the drums, for example. Let's say you want an equalization to change. Maybe for different parts in the song, you want the snare to have a different kind of pop to it. Again, I'm using this snare. I'm using this plugin on my snare, and this is something I have. Cakewalk has built-in plugins. Actually, you know what? Let me just remove that for a second. If you look to the left over here, right, this is my snare. Oops, this is my snare channel. Looks like a channel strip, right? There's your volume knob. See this here? We looked at this in Logic. I think they stole this from Logic, and the old versions of Cakewalk they didn't have this. We have a little equalizer, and this is easily automated. So again, snare track. I click that little zigzag, and here I'm going to track EQ, and you can enable it. Make sure turn the EQ on first. So it's Boolean. It's just on or off. So you can see how the words say off, and now I'm bringing it to on. See the thing? So this is putting my EQ on. Let's go to the end of the... I honestly don't know who this drummer was. This just came from something I had in my archives, and I rescued it from my studio. Now, what I can also do is now say, like, the low frequency, lower mid-frequency, higher mid-frequency, and high frequency gain. So let's say I want the snare to get gainy on the high end. All right, I'm going to hit this, and look what I can do. I can add more gain to the high frequency on this part. And then you can do this with another one. I can say, well, I want this EQ. I want it to, where was I? Oh, I have to enable it first probably too. Yeah. Now look to the left as this plays. There, the ones that you've used are up here. Isn't that nice and neat? See the color? So there's the gain. I'm just going to move that node all the way here. Now look over here as this plays. I'll zoom in for you and watch what happens. See how it's going higher and higher? It's gaining more high end. Okay. However, these nodes and clicking might not be everyone's favorite thing to do. So one other thing we can look at is if you look here on the track, the letter W, if I click that, ooh, look what happens. Things turn red. That's the right enable. Now look over here, and I'm going to click and drag, which is probably a lot more fun, to click and drag these things and watch how the sound changes. It's playing. I added those low mids. Subtracting high mids, and then I'll bring it back up. And can I fight with that? No, I already programmed it in. Now, notice I was doing, I was clicking and dragging the EQ, like we talked about in one of the previous videos about EQ. If I play it, everything I did, see? I'm not touching this. See, my mouse is over here. I'm not touching it. It's doing it automatically. And now there's an effect on the snare. That was a little drastic example, but you can make your snare change as a piece goes on. Like I said, in the chorus, you might want more high end, in the verse, not so much. That's more of an advanced mixing technique, but think about this for your audio branding. You might want a synthesizer sound to get more high end as it goes on. And you can do that by easily just clicking and dragging these guys over on the left here as you play it. And it would print on here. Then if you're more comfortable with this, you can eventually open up these lanes, and then you can grab these nodes and start moving them around. Okay, so hopefully that's everything we need to talk about just to get started on automation.